Hello everyone, welcome to the day 4 of Python Learning for Automation series. So, in this session, we are going to learn about the conditional statements. So, Python will be using the conditional statements to make the decision. Like, example, we wanted to take a call, if a password is correct, we have to allow for the login. And like example, we'll take some of the e-commerce application. We might be having some coupons. If I provide the coupon code, it has to verify that coupon code is valid and it will be getting a discount based on that. So here, based on the condition, if the condition is satisfied, accordingly we wanted to take a particular software which we are working on has to take a decision based on the condition which we had been provided. So with that respect, we have different uh, statements, conditional statements. We In this session we are going to learn about that statement like if, else if, and else statement. Along with that, we are going to learn about the operators, logical operators, and we'll try to build a small real-time login validation program on the concepts that we had learned. So let us get started. So why the conditions are very important, like example in the real time where exactly we'll be using. For that, we can take the situations like we need to validate the password. Like user provided the username and the password. If the password is correct, then only login should be allowed for that user. And let's assume we are just trying to check whether the person is eligible for vote or not. At that time, the eligibility for the voting is 18 years. So if the a person's age is above 18 years, then only the person is eligible to vote, or else he is not eligible to vote. And marks also, like we have to decide a particular student is pass or fail at that time. If their marks is above, greater than, or equal to 35, we'll be considering as pass, or else we'll be considering as fail. And let's assume the battery charge. If it is below 10%, then users should get a warning notification. So this is the condition that we'll be using in the phone, like wherein the battery condition, if it goes to less than 10% at that time, so we should get a warning. Okay, so these conditions will help the programs to decide what actions to be taken based on the different situations that we are having. So here we'll start with the programming. Okay, we'll just see how in the program we can implement this statement. Let me create a new file. So we'll just start with the if condition first. If statement. So we'll take the example of the age. Based on the age, we have to decide whether the person is eligible for vote or not. So here I'll just take the variable age and I'm going to assign the age as 20. Okay. Now I can add a condition if age is if the age is greater than or equal to 18, then we have to print eligible for voting. Okay. So here, whenever we are using the if condition, this is going to validate only this will be executed only when the condition is true, right? If the condition is false, at that time print statement will not be executed. Okay, so this statement, it checks the condition and executed only if the condition is true. Okay, so let us try to run this and check. So we can run this program by using Python followed by condition demo 01.py, the program name. So now we are getting eligible for voting. So let us try to change this particular value for the variable. I'm going to give it as 10. Okay, so when the age is 10, so here the control comes the age. if it is greater than or equal to 18. So here I have the age is 10. So is 10 is greater than or equal to 18. So this condition will be false because it's not greater than or equal to 18. So at that time our print statement will not be executed. See here I got the empty outcome. And here when we are using the statement means if else statements in Python, it's very important to follow the indentation also. So if I'm going to print the same statement over here, we'll get the compile time error. So it should be having a one tap space here. And after if statement, if I'm printing some statement below that, okay, like example, yes, the person can vote, I wanted to represent person can vote. See this, whatever the statements print statement I'm writing just below the this print statement, okay, for which is followed by the indentation, that will be considered as within the if loop. So coming if I'm trying to come back to the equal to the if statement, like here I'm trying to print some statement. So this is like, so this statement, it is not part of the if block, okay, is not part of if block. So when I say this is not part of the if block, so that either the condition true or false, this statement will get executed. Let us see that. Now you can see this statement is not part of if block. Because of that, it will be executed. Even the if block will not get executed. But this statement will be executed only when the condition is true. So let us try to make the value as 18. Now all the three statements should get printed in the console. So here we can see eligible for voting, person can vote, the statement is not part of if block. Okay. Now, so we'll try to see the if else statements. So when we use the else statement, so if I have only in that condition I wanted to perform this action, okay, so at that time we'll go only for the if statement. Certain times we wanted to find one check, okay, if the condition is true I wanted to do this action, if the condition is false so I have to do another action. So if I have that option, then we should use along with the if, we have to use the else block. So whenever I say else, if this, whenever this here this will be executed only if the statement is, means the condition is true, and else will be executed so when the condition will be false. Okay, so now I can try to print not eligible for voting. So here in, it will be, if it is equal to 18 it will print eligible for voting, person can vote. If the condition is false, like example, here if I'm having a age is 10, so I'll try to remove it. This will be this is separated from the if else statement, so this will be executed at all the scenarios. Okay, so now I'll just try to compare if age is 18 greater than or equal to 18 at that time. So as the condition is not true, this block will not be executed, and here the condition will be false. As the condition is false, either any condition, it will not check for any other condition, it will just go ahead and it will print not eligible for voting. So let me save this program and execute it. Now we can see not eligible for voting, and this statement is not part of if block, both we are trying to print it. Now we have one more condition, else if. Okay, so else if we'll be using when we'll be having a multiple conditions to validate. Like we can say if, so else if we'll be representing it as elif. Okay, so as part of the else if condition. So when we have multiple conditions, so at that time we'll be using this else if. So it used to check multiple conditions. Okay, so let's take an example. We wanted to verify the a student's marks. Okay, so whether if a particular student's grade I wanted to print based on the score that they had received. So I'll take one student marks as he received around 65 marks. Okay, so if a student is getting, I have to start with the first if statement. If his marks is greater than or equal to 90, so at that time we will be printing his grade as A. So now if I don't, if I can use here else block other than 90, for all the situations it is fail like that. Okay, right now I have multiple conditions, so I have to use the else if. So I can use else if. So in this condition I have to mention other condition. Okay, if the marks is greater than or equal to 75, so at that time I wanted to print a grade as B. So now again I have one more else if condition. If the marks is greater than or equal to 60, so I have to print a grade as C. Okay, and so below this, uh, if a grade, whenever I just wanted to say 40, so at that time I can just, I have one more condition. Okay, so if marks is greater than or equal to 50, so at that time I have to print as a grade D. Okay, so below than 50 if I'll be getting. Okay, so I'll just make this as 35 or 40. Okay, below 40 if they are getting, they will be considered as a fail. So here I can add a condition else. So apart from this, any value is present, so at that time I'm going to print here as fail. Okay, now we'll just try to check. I have value I had provided as an input as 65. Let me save the program and run it. So now you can see here grade C it is printing because his value, his marks coming greater than 65. So I wanted to use here the separator, just I can try to use. So now we can see here grade C we got, and I'll just change this marks into 40. So here we can see grade D because here we had used the conditional operator greater than or equal to. So even if we get a 40 also, we have to print it as a D, grade D. If we get less than 40, let me add here the marks as 10. Below 40, any value it is considered as fail only. Okay, now let me try to print it. So here I'm getting the outcome as fail. So in this way, we'll be using different statements like if, else if, and else statement. Okay, to update the conditions. Now we'll see about the operators. So here to validate these statements, we'll be using the different operators. In Python, we'll be using a different operators such as, so we have equal equal. So this is a equal operator, equal to. So whenever two values are same, it is going to return the, basically these operators when we are using, the return statement will be boolean value. So like example you can see here we have not used equal equal. So if I'll be using here the condition it is equal to 18, then only I wanted to print. Okay, let me just take an example. So I just wanted to say if age is equal to 18. person turn 18. So here only in this condition this statement will be executed. Other than 18, if we have any other values, so that will not be executed. I'll just take number instead of age. So number as 18. So here if number is equal to 18, then only it will print. So we'll just try to see by executing. Person turned 18. Okay. Let me add a separator here. So now we can see person turned 18. If I'll be having this value as 17, so at that time or 19 also, this will not be printed. It will be a, this loop will not be executed. Here we can see we are not returning anything, right? And we'll be having a not equal to operator. So here as equal to, so here I have 17. I wanted to print if it is not equal to 18. So basically if I'm using not equal to here, this statement will be printed because number is not equal to 18. If the number is equal to 18, it's going to return here. See here it is going to return true because this number is not equal to 18. When it is equal to 18, then I'll be getting true if I'm using equal operator. Here not equal operator when I'm using, yes, this is not equal to 18. So that's where the outcome will be true and I can print the statement person turned 18. You can see here I'm printing person turned 18 because it's not equal to 17. This statement is executed. Okay. And other operators we had seen, so we'll be using greater than symbol, greater than operator, and less than operator. So here to compare the values, and we'll be using less than, greater than or equal to, and less than equal to. Okay. So here if I wanted to just compare only if it is greater than, then I can go with the greater than. If it is greater than or equal to, even if it is equal to that value also I wanted to make the statement true, then I can go with the greater than or equal to. So here we had used greater than or equal to uh, operator. So in the same way we can see greater than operator also we can try to use it. Okay, it depends on the condition what exactly we wanted to print, I mean in which condition I wanted to make it action to be performed. So based on that we have to use this conditional statement. Okay, now as the operators we had seen, so we can also see the logical operators. So as part of the logical operators we have and, are, and not operators. So we'll just see simple examples on this and, are, and not operators. So here I'm going to store the username. So I'm going to store the username as admin and password. So here I'm trying to print the password as admin at the rate 12345. Okay. So I wanted to print a valid login credentials only if the username and password both are same as the stored value. Okay, so at that time I can have a condition here. If username, whatever the username that I'm create assigned to the variable, if it is equal to admin, okay, and password should also be same as I have provided. I can go ahead and I can write here password is equal to admin at the rate 12345. Now in this case I wanted to print the statement as login successful because I just wanted to send this notification to the user. So here where we can use the and. So here when we use the and operator, it will return true only if both the statements are true, right? So if both the statements are true, so then the condition returns true. And if we are having any other combinations here, like when I'm using and, if it is false and password also false, it will return false. This statement will not be executed. And either one false means also it will return false only. So this statement will not be executed. So like example, I can see here, I'll just try to run this program. Before running, I'll try to add here print. Okay. So now I'll try to run this program. Now we can see login successful we got. So here what I'll try to do is I'll try to remove n. So here username, it's not equal to admin. So here we'll get the return statement as false, and here I'll get the return statement as true. So in this condition, I my the print statement will not be executed because when this is false and this is true, this AND operator will return false as an output. Okay, so because of that, it will not print the outcome. Now we'll see the OR operator. Okay, so if if the username, so when I wanted to say admin, and so if the username admin new also. Okay, so admin new, in both the condition I wanted to print as access allowed. So here let's assume I have two users, means I can try to log in either with the username or I can log in with the phone number. So at that time we can have this condition. Okay, either username admin or username is phone number, so we should allow the access, right? So if I'm writing here and it has to check both the condition, but I don't want to write it here r, and I have to write it here r. So when I use r, it will check either of the condition should be true, then only it will print the outcome as true. So we can use it r. So here it will check any one condition should be true. So here if I'm, and if I have both the conditions false, I'll be not going to this particular loop. Either of the condition should be true, then only we'll go r. Both the condition true also, either of the condition true also, we can get into the condition statements, if statements. Okay, let me save it and run it. See here access allowed. Okay, now if I am changing here the admin, so here admin value is wrong, but let's assume this might be true. Okay, so here let me try to run this. It's not printed because I have not taken that username input here. So let me just take this admin only. Yeah, so in that case it will, as this is not had been stored. Okay, means this condition is also not present here, this condition is also not present. So because of that, the if statement will not be executed. I'll be not printed access allowed statement inside this. Okay, this is how our operator is work. Now we'll start with the not operator. So not operator will be using whenever the, if I wanted to verify if this is not the condition, then I wanted to print it. So then we can use the not operator. So let's see, I'll just create a variable logged in. So right now, if you ask whether the person is logged in or not, no, he's not logged in. So at that time, so I just wanted to say if not logged in. Okay. In that case, if the whatever the logged in statement is there, if it is not, means if it is having a false value, then I wanted to print the, means I wanted to notify the user as please log in. Okay, see this law not will be worked in a reverse, whatever the condition that we'll be having, that will going to reverse the condition. Okay, so now we'll see how exactly we'll be getting the output. See here, it is saying as access allowed and please log in, because he is not logged in, because logged in is false. So it is going to compare if not logged in. So when the logged in is false, it will try to give the user input as please log in. If the logged in statement is true, at that time, when we'll be having this statement as true, yes, the person is already logged in. So at that time, if not logged in means I'll be getting the outcome as false, because here we have true already. It's going to compare not logged in. Okay, so it will not be executed. Let me run it. So here I can see only access allowed is printed. Please login has skipped because already user has been logged in. Okay. So hope this is clear, and we'll just try to see a simple example on taking the username and password from the console, and based on the condition, like if both the username and password entered by the user, if it is correct, allow the login, means display the outcome as successful login statement. Okay, we'll just see that simple example. Let me have a separator here. I'll just take one exercise. Okay, so to read the values from the console here, rather than I assign the values directly, I wanted to use the values from the console. So at that time I can call the keyword input. So after that, I just wanted to give the statement as enter the username and password. So here also I wanted to get it from the console, enter the password. So now I wanted to do the validation. So if username is equal to, I can say Kavya, and so password is equal to admin @ 12345. So if this condition is true, then I wanted to print as valid login. Okay, or I can print it as login successful. Okay, so here I'm using the equal as a operator, and I'm using the if statement, and I'm trying to use the and as the logical operator. Okay, so now if else if, okay, if username and password provided is not equal to the same here, then I wanted to print, as I told, indentation we have to be careful. I need to print here as invalid login credentials. Okay, so this is how in the real time usually the validation will be happening. Okay, so now let me run this. I'll just clear this screen in the console. So I just wanted to use the up page arrow, and I wanted to run this program like conditions demo 01.py. Now if you can see, it is asking me to enter the username. So I can enter username as Kavya and password as admin@12345. So now we can see valid login or login successful. So in the same way, let me try to see with the invalid credentials. So now I'm going to run this program. See here it is asking the username. I'll try to just change this uppercase to smaller case. So password as admin@12345. So invalid login credentials I'm getting because in Python, uh, whatever the string values that we are updating, so they are being considered with a case sensitivity also. Like example here, when we are changing uppercase to lowercase, so this condition will become false. As both the conditions are false, so I'll be getting to the else block and we'll be printing the statement as invalid login credentials. Okay, so I did a mistake here, so we have to add here. So now we'll try to rerun the program. I'll give the username as Kavya and password as admin@12345. So here strings we should also provide as exactly the values which are matching. Means if it is exactly matching along with the case also, like case sensitivity also, then only we'll be getting the output. Is it clear? So you can take a simple exercise to work on, like with the same way we had worked here by taking the input from the console. So I'll just give you the small exercise here. So you try to work on the marks grading system. So wherein rather than we print it as a grade A, B and C, so you have to print a marks as when they get a 90 plus as distinction. First class, if they get above 75, first class, and if they get below 40, second class, and less than 40 as fail. Okay, so you work on this simple program. Okay, let us quickly revise about the concept that we had discussed. So we discussed today on the different conditional statements like if statement. Okay, we had practiced a simple program on that. And else statement, it will run when the condition becomes false. And if else statement, so we'll be using if else statement when we have a multiple conditions to validate. Then we discussed about the operators: equal, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay, so then we discussed about the logical operator and operator. When the both the conditions are true, so and operator will be returning the true. So then only if we are using in the if statement, the print statement will be executed. So R statement. So in this R, either of the statement should be true. So then only we'll get into the loop, because if either of the statements are true, I'll be getting the outcome as true. Then only if statement will be executed. If statement will be executed only if it returns the input as true. And not statement, it will work reverse the condition. Like example, if you have not logged in, so logged in is false, then if you are checking not logged in, I wanted to notify to log in. So in that case I can try to use the not operator. So we had seen the simple login program by taking the input from the console. So you can work on the small exercise that I had provided. Okay. So today we learned on how Python makes decision using the conditional statements and operators, and also we build a small validation program as well. So in the next session, we'll learn about loops in Python. So wherein whenever we wanted to do repeated tasks, so at that time we'll be using the loops. Okay. Thank you everyone.